Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday. It is Super Bowl Sunday. And as I sit here, I was wondering to myself, what could a guy who does not watch football do on Super Bowl Sunday while everybody else is going crazy? And I came to the conclusion, why not make a video for the channel? All right. So in doing so, I was thinking to myself, here where I live in Orange County, New York, as we ramp up towards the holidays, so you're talking October, November, maybe even a little bit of September, we get a lot of action at our local kind of discount stores, the Ollie's and the Ross for Less, the TJ Maxx and those places. But once the holidays hit, like once Christmas is come and gone, all of that drops off. There's nothing. There's literally nothing in any of those places for a toy collector or a action figure collector to do in those places for a long time, probably not till the end of summer again. But every so often, I'll go in, check it out, and I'll find something that's worthwhile. So this week, I went into a Ross for Less right here in Middletown, New York, and I found something for the first time since before the holidays. So I'd like to share that with you, just to let you know that they're still out there. There's still things that you can find. So the big thing that I found is this 4-pack from BST of the Turtles. I just saw this online, I think at maybe Nerdzoic for $85. And I found it in a Ross for Less here in Middletown, New York for, let me see if I can find for $24.99. Still more than I like to pay when I go to Ross for anything, but I mean, I just couldn't leave it there. There were two. I bought one, went back a few days later, and I found some other figures from this manufacturer, but not any more of these. So you see, it's a 4-pack. The Loyal Subjects line of Ninja Turtles. They're a little bit smaller than the regular Ninja Turtles. I don't know if we can see it here with all the lights going on. All right, so you can see inside the package we got all 4 of your turtles in muted colors. They all kind of look, kind of different browns and brownish greens, but not a lot of color to them. Awesome set though. I mean, look at that. And we're going to take this out so you can see what they look like. The inside of the box has that great artwork on it. I just love the artwork on these boxes. Again, front of the box has that great comic book art there. Side has this great Ninja Turtle logo from the old comics. And here's the back panel. I kind of want to preserve each panel of this box because it's got this great artwork on it. I probably won't though. I probably will chuck it or just save a little bit of it. But yeah, so got this $24.99. Again, I just saw this on Nerdzoic, and I think I saw it in Big Bad Toys for like $80 or $85, something like that. So again, it's now beginning of February, Super Bowl Sunday in 2025. So if you're watching this, a year from now, you'll kind of know when this is. This isn't new. This came out a little while ago. I don't think it's been a year since it's been out, but it came out a little while ago. And found it at Ross for Less. All right, so let's open it up. All right, so we got the bubble pack out of the box. This is how everything comes packaged. Still a lot of glare here. Let me take this top off. Okay, let's see if we can take that off without dumping it all out. Looks like we can. And there we go. There's a little better look at all of the figures and accessories. Hopefully you don't pour any more of them out. Put that right back there. You can see an absolute ton of accessories for each figure. Looks like we got interchangeable bandana strings, interchangeable heads for each one. Looks like 2 sets of extra hands for each figure, a set of weapons, and some of these little like flame effects for swords and stuff. Let's take it out. Let's see what it is. Hanging off the back side here, looks like we have our 4 collector cards. I don't know about everybody. I do hold on to these, but I don't really think of them as collector cards. I also held on to, the Skylanders cards and stuff. So there is Donnie. Pretty cool card. Pretty cool artwork there. Raphael, my favorite. Leo. And Mikey. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take all these out of the case here, and I'll be right back. All right, we'll start with Leo. Paint apps look great. A lot of washes and shadows, muted colors. I will say that these weapons they have great paint apps. You can see their handles are painted like it's a leather wrap or something, and you'll see the swords have silver finish. They aren't the most sturdy weapons. As I was trying to put them into Leonardo's hands, this one essentially snapped off at the top. So, as a collector, you're going to want to treat them as a collector. I don't know that you're going to have your kids playing with these. Articulation is great. For the most part, there is one thing that I'll point out in a second. But the, legs go out. They kind of go forward a little bit. They never go as forward as you want them to, right? Knees bent, it's a double jointed knee. Got a thigh swivel. The ankle rotates down and up, but there's no back and forth. Arms, we got the wrists, double joints at the elbows. Leo's got this great sword belt with the one strap that goes over like his classic figures do. Look on the back, you see he's got his katana holders there. Great paint apps on these wraps around the ankles and the wrists and the hands. I like them. Overall, they look really great. That's his angry face. Where is his not angry face? Hold on, let me get that out of there. You'll see he has a calm face to go along with his angry one. Right? And you'll see when we talk about these interchangeable bandanas, they just plug right into the back of the head. And you got long ones. He came with 2 long ones, but we can see in, let's say, Michelangelo, he's got some short ones, right? So you can kind of customize your figure how you want them to go. These sword effects are pretty cool. They just slide right on. Hopefully, we'll see. They're a little rough to slide in, but you can get them in. And it's got that whoosh, whoosh, whoosh effect. So probably some good diorama fodder there for those. Right, those are pretty cool. He also comes with 2 other sets of hands. You have a set of open hands, kind of martial arty, you know, open hands. He has 2 other gripping hands that are almost in a complete fist, right? And then the hands he has on, I really love this detail of the interlocking fingers, how his thumb goes in between his 2 fingers. I think that's awesome. It's a cool touch. I don't know what else to say about him. Muscle tone, you can see all of the shadowing and paint apps fall into the different muscle lines. On the front of his shell, you can see he's got some damage and scratches. Pretty awesome, in my opinion. All right, so that's Leo. All right, here's Donatello. He's paint apps are very similar. You can see the paint apps on his front, his web gear, all these little pouches and webbing and stuff is pretty cool. There's his bow staff case with some more kind of ammo pouches. If you were ever in the military, they look kind of like Alice pouches, right? Or web gear pouches. His shell is a bit different. It looks a little bit more, looks a little cleaner than Leonardo's. I'm not really sure. I'll have to look close at it, but almost looks like there's like rivets or screws in each plate on a shell, which would make sense for Donatello. Great figure. Again, the articulation is great. The only thing that I have any problems with is this. They have this kind of butterfly at the inside of their arms that only allow their arms to go out that far. But if their arms are down, they can't come up, right? So his arm can't come up to the side, can't really go out to the side. If his arm is up, it can't come down to the side. It's just that little bit of extension at that butterfly joint, which is strange. So it might be limiting during posing if I'm going to put them in a diorama or something. There is also this weird kind of gap when you like bend the joints, especially the double joints for these figures. Like, look at that. It just looks like it's about to fall off, right? But it feels tight. It's not falling off. It's not slipping out. It just looks like a gap. Unless his leg is completely straight, then there's no gap. So that's Donatello. He also came with the long bandana strands. He came with this high-tech kind of thing. I'm not really up on the comics, so I don't really know what this is. Ideally, it's probably shoot something or hurts when you hit somebody with it, right? We have Donnie's bow staff, which he always needs. And he also has, I want to say, the same set of hands that Leo came with. No, I lied. He's got an actual fist. He's got a kind of a pointing hand with one finger extended out, almost like a pew-pew hand. And he's got the open martial arts hand that we see has done. We have his angry face. And of course for Donnie, some more technology, some like Ray from Ghostbuster goggles for Donnie. It's pretty cool. All right, we'll move on to Mikey. And here is Mikey's figure. Again, I mean, you could tell the difference between them. but they are all kind of the same color scheme, very comic booky. Mikey's got these holders on his belt for his nunchucks, although I understand really only one fits in there, so the other one might be hanging out. Let's try one and see. Let's see. Again, after snapping off Leonardo's sword, I'm not really sure I want to force these in here. I might need to heat, which is always a good idea. Always a good idea just to do that. Get in the habit of doing it so you don't break anything. So there's his nunchuck inside the little holder there. Not really sure how I feel about that. It doesn't look very comfortable. You could do like one across both. That would be weird though, right? Take that out of there so we don't break it. Oh, but you see again, the weapons have great paint apps. See the metallic on the leather looking wood. It's pretty cool. And obviously Mikey comes with two of those. He comes with I don't know what these are called, but they are kind of like nunchucks with a sickle on them. Alright, those are pretty cool. Seen him use those in cartoons and stuff. We have, like I said earlier, Mikey has little bandana strands for his bandana, little short ones. Oh, and if we look on the back of him, he has larger nunchuck cases, so that might be for the two regular nunchucks. Yeah, that looks like it works. Yeah, so that looks much better, having them back there. So the front ones might be for the sickle chuck things. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There are also, you know, other things in here that you can switch and match. Like Raphael has some throwing stars. Maybe those could go in here or something. If we look at the figure, you'll see Mikey's shell looks more traditional as opposed to Donnie's that had those rivets in it. You'll see his face expression is singular, right? He has kind of that, like his bandana kind of wraps around his eye, so it looks distinguishable from the other guys. If here's Leonardo's face, you can see how his bandana wraps tightly around. And there's a hint, if you look really close, you can see in all of the bandanas, there's a little hint of their color. Like if you look at that one, there's a little hint of orange around his eyes. If you look at Leo, I know his eyes look red, but if you look at the kind of outline of the bandana, you can kind of see some hints of blue there to kind of key you into who we're looking at. Same thing with Donatello. If you look at his, there's some hints of purple on the fringes of his mask and his wraps and stuff, which I think is subtle enough to not be obvious, but it's pretty cool for somebody who really enjoys these kinds of toys and figures. Look at all that detail on his legs and his knee pads and stuff. That's pretty cool. Again, when you flex them, they've got those weird loyal subject joints that just kind of look like there's a separation in them, but you know, you suspend disbelief, and I bet you could get some great, you know, photos with these, some good diorama shots. We'll get his alternate face out there. And his is kind of the only one that the alternate face isn't just a resting straight face. This one is a smile, I think. Well, I guess it could be a sneer, but I think it's a smile. That's character appropriate for Mikey to have a smiling face, right? And he's winking. Look at that. I didn't notice that. He's winking. So yeah, that's a smile. All right, let's see if there's anything different in his hand options. Okay, he's got the open martial art hands like the other two so far. He has a punching fist like Donnie had. He's got a second open hand. And he's got just a straight pointing hand, right? The one that came with Donnie had a finger extended, but it was also kind of a grippy hand. You could put something in it. This one is just straight pointing. All right. Now we'll go to our last turtle, our last brother. Yeah, there's Raphael. He's a bit chunky, huh? Definitely noticeably wider than the other ones, right? Raphael's always kind of been the rough and tumble of the set, right? So he's always pictured a bit bigger, larger, and like huskier or more muscular. He's definitely noticeably bigger than the other guys. The angry face that he has is typical Raphael kind of expression. Again, the red in the bandana, that's a little more blatant than the other guys, right? It's just a straight red bandana. If you're a child of the 80s or the early 90s and you read those comic books, you know that they all had red bandanas initially. And that I think when I was a kid played into why I liked Raphael so much, that and his attitude. Because when I started reading the comic books, there was no blue or orange or purple. They were just red. And you kind of knew them apart by what they fought with rather than their bandana color. But yeah, great little figure. Again, his shell looks a little more traditional. If you look at the back of his head, you can see there's actually like a texture on the backs of their heads and the tops of their heads. It looks a little bumpy and stuff. It's pretty nice. It's a little more subtle than those other figures that came out recently, where they look like they just have the hides. Pretty good. I mean, Loyal Subjects make some good looking figures. The plastic sometimes feels a little rubbery, and it sometimes feels like they're going to wiggle apart, just because they're so kind of bendy, as opposed to it being like a solid hard plastic. They're usually, you know, very kind of malleable, especially if they're warm, which is why I hesitate to heat these up, because I feel like I heat these up and I'll just start pulling things off. But they look great. I mean, I'm already thinking about the different kind of dioramas that I can do with these figures. Again, they are shorter than most other Ninja Turtles figures. Even the original figures, they might be a little bit slightly taller than those, but they just feel smaller. You know, these feel a little more detailed, a little more realistic than the cartoon style turtles, and they don't really match up with those villains. Here's a little Billy Club thing that came with Raphael. Only because the villains will seem so much bigger, right? Which will lead me to the other Loyal Subjects figures that I found at Ross, because I did pick up a few villain figures that I found. All right, so Raphael comes with 2 of these Billy Clubs, 2 of these, you know, knives, daggers. He has the long bandanas. He has his size, of course. 2 of those. He has some gripping hands. All his hands appear to be, you know, gripping of some kind. So here's one that might be better suited for the throwing stars. Here's one that's kind of open. Maybe not as open as the other ones, but open. Here's another gripping hand for Raphael. And the last one, is there a cover on it? The last accessory in the box are these little tiny throwing stars, which I love and hate at the same time, because they always get lost somewhere. All right, so you get 3 of them, and they're tiny. They are very pointy. Like if you touch them, you could really hurt yourself. But they're just plastic. In Raphael's web gear, you could kind of put them, you know, in there. There's 2 more spots for the other 2. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And again, that's just the 4 turtles. Accessory and a ton of accessories. And again, I got them for $24.99, so $25 at Ross. And when I picked them up, I went online to see if you could still buy them online. And sure enough, I found them for $85. So they're still there. You can still find some good deals. All right, so here's some other figures that I found at Ross, and these were each $10. Here is Loyal Subjects Rocksteady, kind of a more traditional take on Rocksteady. It was $10. We have a Foot Assassin. I'm going to assume these go more with these new turtles than the Rocksteady does, but pretty lean figure. This figure doesn't really have many faults as far as posability and articulation. I was looking at this last night, and I was telling my wife, you know, this figure with a different set of hands could be a really cool Spider-Man variant, right? I mean, it's very posable. It's got ab crunches and all of the different articulation points that we look for are here. So this is a great figure. I love this head too. It's got an alternate head with just slight different eyes. The only critique that I have of it is all 3 sets of hands that it comes with are like this, with these long kind of knives for fingers, which I guess isn't so bad. And the other thing is this joint right here on all the figures. This might be their weakness for me. It just feels weak, like it feels rubbery. It feels like you could just yank that right out without a problem. But that joint on all of these Loyal Subject figures worries me. This on Rocksteady, when I was putting the gun in his hand just kept popping off. And you can see just how tiny that little stump is to go into the hand. A hole on the wrist. I mean, it's just so tiny that any kind of you really don't even feel it pop back in. But any kind of tug on that or movement on that, and the hand is going to come off. Again, these also, there's a very slight butterfly that lets the arms open up a little bit, but they don't come up or they don't go out. They do swivel out, so you can use it. You can use that to your advantage. I mean, night and day from like the original Ninja Turtle figures that had no articulation, but even still, you know, look at those weird knee joints. Super cool figure. Is going to do great on a shelf. Not sure you would want your kid to play with this, because I think they would just pull it apart pretty quickly. We also got a Bebop. And I'm sorry, I have all their accessories in a bag next to me, so I could do those also. I'm just trying to get the figures out here. So we got Bebop, and he came with a human head. Rocksteady also came with a human head, but the thing that I noticed about the human heads is they look very small on the bodies. So if you pop the human head on, it just looks so out of proportion with the figure. I also got Casey Jones. Again, great figure, great articulation. I can't, just like the Assassin figure, I don't really see anything terribly wrong with this figure. I like it a lot, and he comes with all the same accessories he came with when we were kids. You know, he has the golf bag with 2 golf clubs and a hockey stick. He doesn't have the the baseball bat. So may as well. So you see Casey Jones comes with this this golf bag, and in the golf bag you have one driver and one putter, and he comes with the wrapped up kind of goalie stick, which is pretty cool. And if you were a fan of the like 2013 Nickelodeon show, he comes with that face as well. This is more the traditional original Casey figure, and this feels more like that Nickelodeon mask. It might be comic book accurate, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not up on the comics, but you know, kind of a ghost face figure, ghost face face. Here is the head for Bebop. You can see just how tiny that is, and if you put it on, first it's a little difficult to pop them on and off, but if you put that on there, it just looks so tiny to the body. But it is a cool head. I hope I get to use that in some other kind of custom or something. It's got the you know, that 80s, early 90s kind of mohawk, mullet, ponytail thing going. Love that. And here is the human head for Rocksteady. Again, if you put that on, he just looks so tiny. But again, comes with a human head and a set of hands, which I think is great. You know, he's got a set of regular people hands. Bebop, however, comes with some hands that are only have 4 fingers, right? Which is his mutant form, right? 3 fingers and a thumb. So, you know, I mean, if you're not paying attention to details, it doesn't really matter. But he doesn't have the 5-finger hands like Rocksteady does. Here are the alternate hands for the assassin. They're all very similar to one another. You know, the fingers are in slightly different positions, but I mean, none of them can hold anything. Maybe this one could hold somebody by the neck. But, you know, they're all the kind of Edward Scissorhand knife fingers. We got Bebop came with his traditional gear that he came with the original figure. This kind of weird pistol that has like a corkscrew on it. This garbage can lid shield, and this very chunky, you know, punky dagger. This is the alternate head for the assassin. You can see it's got little scratches on the side, or claw marks on both sides. Pretty cool. And Casey Jones has some little, look how tiny these little fists are. I mean, they're smaller than Marvel Legend hands, like Marvel Legend female figure hands. They're so tiny. I hope I don't lose them. And the last figure I got was probably my favorite of the bunch. And that is the Loyal Subjects Krang figure. Get his arm in. And he's significantly larger than the other Loyal Subjects figures. I think you could almost use him with the other figure series if you want. But super cool. He comes in this this little robot body. These little arms come on and off. He can come off of the robot body also. And he comes with these little tentacle arms that just plug in on the sides. You can plug those in and be cartoon accurate and just have them sit on this little Krang doohickey here, little Krang tripod from the old cartoon. But I like them in this android body thing that is very nostalgic for me for the old cartoon. It's pretty awesome. And the detail's nice too. I mean, it's very robotic. It's very, the shiny silver paint, the finishes, super cool. Alright, so that is my haul from Ross. My first post-Christmas haul from a discount store. My Ollie's is cleaned out. Ross has been cleaned out. This is really the first kind of cool stuff that I saw. Again, the individual figures were $9.99 each. I know they retail for about 20 bucks. I think I've seen some of them individually for like 18 or 19 bucks at like Walmart or Target. But I got them for $10 each, $9.99, and then I got the 4-pack, again, $24.99. I hadn't seen it in the store, but I did see it online at a couple different websites for upwards of like $80, $85. So they're there. Don't sleep on it. All right. Hope you like this. If you did, like and subscribe. Comment with some suggestions if you have ideas of other things you'd like me to do. I have a large collection of things. If that's something you'd like to see, shoot me a comment. I can start doing some collection videos. I can do my room tour. I can do diorama pictures. I can do lots of different things. So shoot me a message. Let me know what you want to see. Have a good night.